The Bush Book Club, written by Margaret Wilde, illustrated by Ben Wood. Everyone except Bilby belonged to the Bush Book Club. Echidna loved reading snug in bed, with platters of ants and buttered bread. Kangaroo loved reading as she hopped along, trying not to fall in the billabong. Koala loved reading in the old gum tree, enchanted by tales of fantasy. Crocodile loved stories that made him cry. He sniffled and snuffled, sobbed and sighed. But Bilby couldn't keep still long enough to read more than a sentence or two. He wriggled and jiggled, he twiddled and fiddled, he skipped and hopped, he flipped and flopped. One afternoon, when the Bush Book Club was meeting as usual, Bilby played on his own. He did a headstand, he did a handstand, a somersault, and 2 cartwheels. He sighed. Now what? He wandered over to the clubhouse and peeped through the window. Everyone was smiling and chattering and swapping books. Bilby crept in and hid behind a bookshelf. He listened to everyone talking about the books they loved. He'd never heard of any of them. He was so bored, he closed his eyes and fell asleep. When he woke up, it was dark and everyone had gone home. The door was locked. The windows were locked. "Help!" shouted Bilby, but no one came. He switched on the lamp and looked around for something to do. There was nothing to do. There were just books, books, books. Bilby built a tower out of books, a fort, a great wall, 3 houses. He made a maze out of books. He made stepping stones and a bridge. He played with all the books until there was not one left on the shelves. Bilby twitched and twirled, he jumped and bumped, he flicked his ears, he nibbled his tail, he sighed. Now what? Because there was nothing else to do, he picked up a book. It was called The Terrifying Adventures of Big Brave Bilby. Bilby read the first sentence, then the second, the third, the fourth. He turned the pages, slowly at first, then faster and faster. It was a scary story to read at night. His eyes grew big, he shuddered with fright, but he couldn't stop reading. He had to find out how Big Brave Bilby escaped from a river of crocodiles. Defeated a pack of snarling dingoes, and rescued a family of possums from a bushfire. As the sun started to rise, Bilby said, "The end." He was sorry he'd finished the book. He'd wanted it to last forever. He put all the books except one back on the shelves and waited for the members of the Bush Book Club to arrive. His stomach rumbled, but his head was full of words and stories. "What are you doing here?" asked Echidna. "I've been reading the best book in the world," said Bilby. "Would you like to join the club?" asked Koala. "Yes, please," said Bilby. and he hurried home to eat breakfast and read more terrifying adventures of big, brave Bilby.
Now that you have read the Bush Book Club, use these suggested questions or discussion points with your child. You may like to pause the recording after each question to allow you some time to share a response together. The Bush Book Club is a story about discovering the joy of books. Each of the animals in the story enjoyed certain types of stories. Look back through to find what echidna, kangaroo, koala and crocodile like to read about. What adventures did Bilby read about? What do you like stories about? What are some of your favourite stories? Whereabouts do you read or listen to stories? In bed? In the kitchen? In the car? What about in the bath?